Good Saturday, everybody. This is Dave with the Compass Dominated Trading Room and Alert Service that we're going to be doing a webinar today. I appreciate very much you coming in to watch the webinar. We'll be starting in 10 minutes or so, and got to let everybody log in. But again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. And if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my screen that says Compass Dominated Trading Room and Alert Service 82623. Just give me kind of a yes in the question box, if you would, so I can know that my audio is good and that the screen is good. Good morning, Rodney. Can you hear me okay and see the screen, Rodney? Good, excellent, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, this is Dave with the Compass Alert Service. And I'm going to be talking about the Compass Dominated software and the Trading Room and Alert Service that we have for traders. Again, my name is Dave. I've been trading about 14 years. I've been full-time trading as a professional trader, and I want to get a nice, good opportunity to go over the software and the techniques we use to be so successful as we are with the Compass and Dominator systems and with the Alert Service. And I think you're going to find this extremely useful. Probably just something like you've not seen before, and again, been a very difficult market to trade. I think anybody who trades knows how tough the trading has been. But that's the whole point: is if you get the right tools and you have the right edge, you can trade successfully in any market. And that's what separates us from the rest of the traders out there and the rest of the systems out there. Is we've got this down to the finding the highest probability trade setups and trading only those, and it's proved tremendously successful. So again, I'll be starting up here in just a little bit. Still got about 8 minutes to go. I'm going to let everybody log in. But again, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're at. And thanks so much for coming to the webinar. I appreciate it. And I think you're going to find it extremely useful. To answer some of the questions that are obviously we're going to get is the webinar will be recorded, so anybody who's registered for it will get a video copy of this probably late today or tomorrow sometime. You'll get a copy of the webinar in case you can't see it all or you want to go review some parts of it. You'll get that in your email. And if you have any questions during the presentation, just go ahead and put them in the question box, and I'll try to take them all at the end. I typically don't like to try to interrupt the webinar because it try to have some continuity to the information that we're covering, and it can get a little distracted. So, but we will answer all the questions at the end, and that anybody has on anything that we cover. I mean, there's going to be a lot of material here. Should take about 45 minutes or so. Shouldn't take any more than 45 minutes to an hour to go over. We're going to go over the material, and we're going to cover the software. We're going to cover the results that we've had with the software over the last year and a half or so, and we're going to cover some of the trading styles and methods that we use in the trading room and in the alert service. Explain how that's done, and you're going to get to see all the indicators and how we use them. You're going to get to see charts of the exact trades that we took with lots of detail as far as being able to see how the system is picking up these trades and how we're profiting from it. So I think you're going to find great information, and I will be I will be back here in just a couple minutes, just making sure everything is okay. Everyone says the sound is good and the video is good, so we're about ready to go in about 6-7 minutes. Hey, Larry, good afternoon. I'm gonna also go over some of the strategies that we use in the room, how we use the compass system and the dominator system to find the trades. One of the things I want to do is a lot of people want to be on the alert service. They want to get identified trades to take and when to get in, when to get out. But I think it's important for people who are part of the service and part of the room to understand how we're finding these trades. When you get a trade, I try to be transparent so that you can see what we're using for criteria to find those particular trades. So when you look at your charts, you should be able to tell why we get into this trade and why we get into it, where we get into it. So that's why I show a lot of these charts and the methodologies we use, so everybody can be kind of on board as far as how these work. And it helps you, I think, to become a better trader, because you can find your own trades and trade off the same basic criteria that we use. So again, we'll be covering some of that as well. So again, I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Got a lot of people logging in here, so I'm going to give folks a chance to log in and get set up. We've got about 3-4 minutes to go. Again, this is Dave, and I'm just watching the number of attendees run up here, so I'm trying to give everybody some time to get in, get going. Again, we got a couple minutes to the start, and we'll get started. And some of the first part of the information will be fairly basic stuff, so hopefully everybody can get logged in and get the meat of the presentation. So we'll start here in just a couple minutes. Again, welcome to Saturday. Thanks so much for taking part of your weekend to attend the webinar. I'm going to do everything I can to make this valuable for you, so that your time will be used successfully. All right, everybody, it's about 1 o'clock, and I want to be prompt on this, so we're going to go ahead and start the webinar as more people are logging in. But we'll go ahead and get it started, and we will go forward, because again, I appreciate your being here, and I appreciate you. I'm cognizant of your time. So let's get started. So again, my name is Dave. I'm with the Brightline system. We're going to be looking at the Compass Dominator Trading Room and Alert Service. Compass Dominator are two pieces of software that I use to find the highest probability trade setups. And so that's why it's called the Compass Dominator. We're going to show those to you. And the Alert Service, which the Alert Service is a service that I have. I have a trading room that trades every day from market open to market close, 5 days a week. And then we have the Alert Service. I send Alert Service trades out, basically the same trades we're taking in the trade room. So you can't be in the trade room, or you don't want to be in the trade room, you can still get the trades that we take through the Alert Service. So that's what this is about. So let's get started. First thing I have to do, of course, is the disclaimer that all signals and trading opportunities we provide here, orally, written, or electronically, are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Trading is very risky, so you should never trade with more money than you could afford to lose. That's very important. And neither myself or Brightline Trading are licensed financial advisors, so I won't be giving any financial advice. All right, so before we get started into the meat of this webinar, the actual software and the criteria and the indicators, first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the market itself. And I'm not sure if everybody understands what drives the market, but what this little picture is up here is these smaller marbles, and then this big, huge marble. These small marbles, these are retail traders, such as me, and likely such as everybody else here that's in the room. We're retail traders, and it's important to understand that retail traders do not move the market. We basically, if we're just trading against each other, retail traders, all we're getting is a lot of chop, we're getting a lot of chaos. We're not getting, not sure what that is. I don't know what that noise was. I'm sorry about that. It's coming from somewhere else. So anyway, we're retail traders, and we really can't move the market. We trade, and people try to make money, but if we're the only ones in the market, we're not going to be successful. The big marble back here, these are the institutions, and those are the folks like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, HSBC, the big banks, hedge funds. All the hedge funds fall into this particular category, and there's a lot of hedge funds. This is also things such as mutual funds, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, all the big mutual funds, and as well as like 401ks, pension plans. A lot of big corporations have big pension plans and 401ks. That's where all this money is, and this is what moves the market. The institutions are what drives the market. It's important to understand, if the institutions are not trading in a particular instrument that you're in, you're just getting chopped. Once the institutions are in there, then that is going to be what moves that particular instrument, that ETF or stock. And it's important for us to be able to identify when the institutions are in the trade and when they're not. That's one of the things that gives us such a big edge. Right, so that's how the market goes. So I'm just going to cover quickly the strategies that we use in the room, and these will be the strategies that create the alerts that we do as well. These are the main strategies we use. We're pretty much trading options. I've traded stock from time to time if the options aren't feasible, but generally speaking, 95% of the trades are going to be stock. And we use straight calls and straight puts, of course. With some specific criteria. We do debit spreads, but the debit spreads, we use weekly options expiration. We do quite a few of these, and this is a really profitable trade strategy that we've developed over the last few years, and I have stats on this that show it is successful. In fact, every trade strategy that I use has been tested by myself, basically thousands of trades and quantified. We also use what's called time spreads over earnings. These are really calendar spreads, and we do these to capture the volatility crush. When earnings comes out, the volatility in the option premiums drop dramatically, and this is a strategy we use to take advantage of that by putting them on just before earnings are announced, like the night before the earnings are announced, and taking them off the next day. And generally, we get between 15 and 50% profit on that. We just had 2 of them this week. We had one on AAP, and we had one other one, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But that we had 50% in the AAP, and in the second one we got a 42% return. Burlington, it was Burlington. So we get those 2 this week, Wednesday and Thursday. We also use what's called a weekly ATM strategy to capture premium week after week. And this is a specific strategy that is basically a diagonal where we sell puts every week against a particular stock that meets a certain criteria. And then we have a longer dated put, 6, 8, 10 weeks out in time that we're long to give us protection to that. It's basically a protective put that reduces the amount of margin that we need. And it also gives us a hedge if the stock turns against us, it goes against the direction we think it should be going. We can then buy back the short put and hold the long put and benefit from the downward move in the stock. And we also do something that's called the SPY super system. These are very high probability trades to try to catch SPY moves. These are fairly quick trades. Generally, I don't alert on these because they're typically only 3 or 4 candles long, and that's not fair to an alert person to try to be able to catch something like that. So these are what we call out of the room, but it's a very specific high probability trading setup that we look for. So those are the basic strategies that we're talking about. I typically don't do any iron condors, butterflies. I mean, I do them sometimes, but we don't do them in the room. I'm not doing butterflies. I'm not doing iron condors. I think this is enough strategies for everybody to use, and these are pretty easy for folks who are fairly new to trading to be able to understand. So what I want to talk about here is the 2 systems we have. We're going to talk about. One is the Compass system, and the Compass system identifies institutional trading, and the other is a Dominator system, and the Dominator system identifies what's called market internals. And I'll go into all the details about these. But what I wanted to point out was when the Dominator system was announced or released, it was a year ago, October. This coming October will be a year. And so I basically tracked trades from October 1st to 12/28 last year using just Compass trades. Now, what I'm saying here is I traded the Compass system, but at the time I made these trades, the Dominator system was not giving me a confirming buy or sell order. It was neutral. I had no market internals were neutral. They didn't have any bearing one way or the other. But the Compass system, which shows us institutional buying or selling, was telling me that the institutions were buying or selling this particular stock. So during that period of time right there, I had 129 wins and 12 losses, and a 90.2% win rate, pretty high win rate. And our win rate in the room generally over the last, the room has been active since January 2022, which by the way was the exact first month of when the bear market started. So we traded almost most of this time through a bear market. Our win rate varies between about 86 and 92% month to month over time. Now, at this same period of time, from 10/1 to 12/28, when the alignment of the Compass system telling us the market institutions were in there, and I got a confirming buy or sell signal on the Dominator system, which told me the market internals were now also in our favor. When we traded only trades that had this combination from 10/1 to 12/28, we had 113 wins, 2 losses. This is pretty dramatic. This was a 97.4% win rate. Now you see the number of trades was less because this doesn't line up as frequently. You never know when you're going to get these trades. You have to watch for them. And some days you won't get any of these. But we did have 113 trades, 113 wins, 2 losses, a 97.4% win rate, which is very, very difficult to try to duplicate. That was extremely high, but I just wanted to have a comparison of how good these trades were when both of those lined up. So that's just for informational purposes. And this again, I'm just going to let you know what we've done with the system, the high probability trade setups that we find and we use. I just kind of want to highlight in April, we had 19 wins in a row, followed by 10 wins in a row. This was our biggest sequence of wins. This is our longest win rate so far this year. We had 29 wins in a row from April 20th to May 5th, which is, I mean, if you're a trader, you know that getting 5 wins in a row is pretty difficult. We had 29 wins in a row. And for folks who were in the room on the alert service, if you invested $2,000 in each trade, it produced a little over $11,000 in profits. And these are just numbers to kind of give you an indication of how well the systems were working. This is March through June of this year, and I haven't updated these for July yet, but again, investing $2,000 in each trade produced. And here's our wins and losses. March, 37 wins, 6 losses, 86% win rate. Pretty nice win, almost 9,000. April, 35 wins, 5 losses, 87.5, 4,700. May, 41 wins, 6 losses, 87.5, 7,600. And June, 37 wins, 6 losses, 86% win rate. You can see that the number of trades we take is fairly consistent every month. July was less. July was down. First, I was on vacation for a week, and also summertime trading is much more difficult. So the number of trades we take has gone down quite a bit, as it has in August. But September generally will pick up. But you can see we're trading somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 trades a month, the total number of trades we did. So again, we had some nice profits in here. We had a higher win rate, but a smaller profit here because some of the wins were smaller. We had a couple of bigger losses. But again, $30,000 in those 4 months with a $2,000 investment. Obviously, it depends on how much you risk on a trade. But I just want to use this as a baseline so you've got something to follow. And this is just a quick spreadsheet that I did. These show the specific trades that we did in April. I think this was the 19 wins in a row. But this is a spreadsheet that I have that come from my trade log. But these are all the trades we took, and this is basically what we get in for and what we get out for, what our profit was, and what our percentage profit was. And you can see the percentage profits are fairly consistent. You know, I'm not trying to convince anybody that you're going to make 200, 300, 400% on trades, and we do have 100% winners for sure. But this is generally what you're going to find in most of the trades you take. They're going to generally take anywhere from 10 to 12%, up to about 40 to 50% is going to be the average that we take on these trades. And you know, in a choppy market, it's really, really difficult. Sometimes you get to take trades profits pretty quickly. But you know, we had some nice ones in here. You know, if you think about what you're making when you're making 26% on a $2,000 investment, you're making $500 or $600 on each one of those trades. So these are numbers. We did have one break even here on win, but so these are the ones we had. T-Doc was a nice one. This was again getting in at 23, out the next morning for 31 cents. So those are the April trades, just to show you what to expect. I want to be transparent and have you understand what the expectations of what these trades are going to produce for you. And again, these are some May trades. I'm not going to go all of these, but these are ones that we did in May. And again, you can see the win rate. It's a low of 7% here, 40% in Microsoft, and 30% match, 30% Meta. Again, April, 35 wins, 5 losses. We've already seen that. So, and you see we do have losses. It's important to understand that we had losses. Some of these were news-based. I mean, if you're in a trade and some news comes out, it's bad news that you don't have any control, or good news if you're short, then you can get trapped in those trades. But that's going to happen to everybody, and they can work in your favor as well. But that's just, I want you to see what the trades were. And these are June trades. So you can see the same thing here. Again, here's a time spread. This is a call debit spread on Broadcom, and pretty consistent, very, very consistent. You're going to see most of the wins are going to be pretty consistent. And I think we've had the most losses we've had so far this year is 3 losses in a row. All right, and I talked about Apple. We had a weekly ATM, and Apple had produced a $290 profit per contract, so that was pretty nice. So that's June. Here's some July, and I'll just zip through these. July was 20 wins, 4 losses. I don't put every single trade on here, But this is basically just to let you understand what you can expect for returns on over time of the trades that we take. I mean, listen, you have variations. You have some winners, some losers. Not everyone's going to be a winner, but this. You can see this is most of the trades, and you can pretty much see what you're getting here: 13, 20, 25, 35, 40%. So, and these are some trades I wanted to identify. These are specific alerted trades that we did, and showing you when we get in, how much we get in for, how much we get out, and if it was overnight. One of the things that a lot of traders ask me about is if they don't have, if they can't day trade because they don't have enough money in their account, they're under what's called PDT, which is you can only trade 3 round trips, day trades in a 5-day rolling period. So that's called a pattern day trade, or PDT. So if you're a pattern day trader, you can't really do more than 3 intraday trades in a 5-day period. So a lot of our trades are going to span overnight. Like the time spreads are all overnight. So when you take a time spread, you go in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we usually get out in the morning, between 9:30, 10, 10:30, whenever we get our profits. And that doesn't count as a day trade for you. And neither do any of the trades that we take overnight, and neither do any of the credit spreads. Those aren't either. Debit spreads a lot of times are day trades. But just so you know, we do have quite a few trades that if you're a pattern day trader, you'll be able to take a lot of trades and not impact your PDT situation. So again, we had BNTX in at 81, out at $1.21 the next morning. Again, that's a $1,000 profit on $2,000 invested. It's 40 cents, and that's a pretty nice gain. A run, which is a solar stock, in at 33, out at 43. Again, out the next morning. That is an overnight trade. Alta, we get in at 266, out the next day for 366. A nice 38% profit. And I just kind of highlighted how much we make in each one of those if you invested $2,000. Obviously, if you invested $1,000, you'd make half of that. If you invested $4,000, you'd make twice as much. But it's just a baseline. ACN in for $1.05, out the next day for $1.50, 43% profit. Delta Airlines in at 24, out the next morning for 35. And again, that's not a day trade, it's an overnight trade. And produced a nice profit. Baba in at 4, out at 450. This was a day trade. This is we were in and out in 2 hours. So we produced a 13% profit, but we got a 13% profit in 2 hours. And a lot of people think that 13% isn't much, but if you think about what you did it in 2 hours and what you would be getting on a CD in a bank, that's pretty good. And Twilio in at 415, out at 515 the next day. That's an overnight for a 25% profit. And if there's a few mil right here, Dash in at 64, out at 84, 31%. So you can see the consistency in the trades, and the percentage gains are fairly consistent here as well. And again, some of these were the same day, like this was same day on DraftKings. This was an overnight here on Match. So you're going to get a mixture of day trades and overnight trades. All right, so let's talk about the Compass Alert Service, Compass Options Alert Service, and what it's for and what it does. It's basically designed for day trades and short-term swing trades. We're not doing any investments. We're not doing any longer-term investments. Most of our trades are going to either be intraday or they're going to last. They can last. The swing trades can last up to a couple of weeks, usually at the most. But generally speaking, they're only going to be a few days for a swing trade. So that's why I consider them short-term swing trades. They're designed for traders who can't watch the market all day, or who don't want to watch the market all day. I mean, pretty simple. We just want to people want to be able to trade, maybe take a trade and put the exit price in there and just walk away from it. And they've got other things to do. They've got a job. You've got hobbies that you like to do. You like to play golf. You don't have to want to be pinned to your machine all day long. I am pinned to my machine all day long, but I love it. We're going to have real-time alerts on the highest probability trade setups. This is really important. The alerts you're going to receive are going to be on just what we consider the very highest probability trade setups that are available to us that day. And so a lot of times you don't see it. You don't see any trades. Days will go by without, a couple of days or 3 days will go by without an alert. We haven't come across a trade that qualifies as extremely high probability trade setup. What our saying in the room is We trade the best and skip the rest. And it's very important to understand that knowing when not to trade or when not to take a particular trade is just as important as taking a good trade, because that saves you money. And I think people underestimate how important it is to know when trades are no good, when you shouldn't be taking those trades. Again, one of the things that we preach in the room is our objective in the room is not to make trades. Our objective is to make money. And that's really, really important. Now, how do we find these highest probability trade setups? I'm going to get into some detail on this. Highest probability trade setups are done by identifying institutional involvement. That's the compass system, tells us when the institutions are in a trade and when they're not. And then we're also looking at market internals coming from the dominator system. And I'll tell you exactly what the market internals are. They may not be what you think they are. And then we do some more refined technical analysis on all the trades, all the stocks that look like they qualify. So we hone it down from the highest probability trades by looking at institutional involvement, market internals, and then we look at the detailed technical analysis on those stocks to find the very best ones. And now, how are they going to get these alerts? You're going to be alerted by an SMS message. Message going to come to your phone. Again, trade the best, skip the rest. This is what we do. So every alerted trade will include, obviously, the stock symbol. It'll include the option strike price. It'll include the option expiration date and the price to pay for the option, which may be a range. It may say $1 to $1.05 or something like that. But what you want to try to get filled at. And when we send the original order out, we may or may not have the exit price listed. Most of the time, I do not have the exit price listed because we want to really watch the price action for a while and make a decision as far as what we want to take to put in there as a profit target. And we have to watch the price action, and we have to watch the market. But when you do get the exit price, it'll come out as another alert. It'll have the same information that you had when you get in the trade, and it'll say that it'll say basically sell order, and it'll say what the sell order price should be. And you should set them as good to canceled when you get them. So in other words, if you get a sell order on like a Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock, you want to put that order in as good till canceled, so that when the market opens the first thing the next morning, if we get a spike in the stock or a drop in the stock, it goes in the direction of our trade, then you'll benefit from that, and you won't have to go in and try to go ahead and set the order, and you may miss it. So we want them as good to cancel. So that's what we recommend in any exit trade that you put on. So let's talk about, again, how we achieve these results. You've seen what the system can do, and you've kind of seen how you're going to get alerted. I want to talk about the software that we use and how we identify this stuff, because this is the meat of how we find these high probability trade setups. We're able to identify when the institutions are driving a trade and when the market internals are heavily bullish or bearish. This is how we're finding them. We're finding them from the compass system and the dominator system. So we only take trades when both of these are in our favor. Now that's not entirely true. If the compass system which is the key one I use, when the compass system is telling us the institutions are in a trade, then if the market internals are not necessarily in our favor, but they're neutral, as long as they're not against us, then I will take trades with the compass system only. If the dominator system is telling me that the market internals are neutral, I wouldn't take a long trade if I'm bullish on the compass system and the dominator system is telling me the market internals are bearish. So as long as I've got a neutral or a bullish market internals, then I would go ahead and take a long. All right. So here's the two systems that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you the systems. I'm going to show you how they look on the charts. I'm going to show you the indicators and how we use them. And you're going to find that it's actually much more simple to use than you may think. The compass system, again, is identifying stocks that are being moved by institutional buying or selling. Now, this is important. We really only want to buy stocks that are being moved by the institution. It also identifies stocks that do not have institutional buying or selling moving them, so that we can avoid those. You could look at a good stock setup on your chart. You look at a 5-minute chart, it looks really nice and bullish. But if the compass system is telling you that the institutions are not pushing that trend right now, you don't want to get in there. Because again, as we said, when retail traders are trading, you end up with a lot of chop and a lot of chaos, and you don't want to be in those trades, so we skip those. Now, the dominator system is going to display the market internals, and it produces a buy or sell signal when the difference in the number of stocks moving up on up volume and upticks is much higher than the number of stocks moving down on down volume and downticks, or vice versa. So we're looking for stocks that are moving up on up volume and upticks. And it doesn't say anything about the price. It just says the number of stocks moving up on up volume and upticks. So the dominator system is completely different from the compass system. This is telling us what the institutions are doing. This is telling us what the total number of stocks moving up on up volume and upticks are versus total number of stocks moving down on down volume and downticks. So when you've got that, when you've got those, that's going to tell us how the market should be treated. And this is telling us how the institutions are treating a specific stock that we're looking at. All right, so how does the compass system identify when institutions are creating a trend? Now, this is really important because it's not easy to do. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, well, all you have to do is look at volume. No, volume's not enough. All you have to do is look at relative strength, relative weakness. That's a big help. Relative strength, relative weakness is a big help. But again, relative strength, relative weakness, if you're looking at it on one time frame, is not enough. So what we do is what's called a triple screen assessment. Triple screen assessment is just a fancy way of saying we're looking across multiple time frames, or what some people call fractals. So we're looking across multiple time frames, and we're looking at 4 things across these multiple time frames. We're looking at momentum. This is really one that I really hammer on. This is what I really focus on during the day. I want stocks that have got momentum, either up momentum or down momentum, across 3 different time frames. If it's moving up in 3 different time frames and I have momentum on all 3 of them, that's a big help. I'm also looking at the trend across multiple time frames. What's the stock's trend? Is it trending across 3 different time frames, the same times that it's got good momentum on those 3? Okay, now we've got some real good information here. And we also look at money flow across those 3 time frames. And now we've got 3 different things that are all moving in the same direction across multiple time frames. And the last one we add is this thing called a quant. Now the quant is showing related instruments. And I'll show you this on the compass system in just a minute. But if you think about a stock that you take, let's say you take a stock like Microsoft and you're trading Microsoft. Microsoft, there's a certain number of stocks that trade with Microsoft. When Microsoft's going up, there's a bunch of stocks that trade at the same direction that Microsoft goes 70% of the time or more. Those are what we're looking at. We're looking at other stocks that normally trade with that stock in the same direction. Now, you can kind of think of it as sector, but it's more than that, because there are a lot of stocks that trade like with Microsoft that aren't necessarily in the same sector that Microsoft is in. So that's what's going to tell us. So if we've got all 4 of these lined up, momentum, multiple time frames, trend, multiple time frames, money flow, multiple time frames, and quant, multiple time frames, when they're all lined up, the likelihood that it's institutions moving this trade in this direction is extremely, extremely high. I mean, in the 95, 96% likelihood. Very rare not to have institutions moving these. Now, institutions can get in and out of trades. They don't stay in them all forever. But this will tell us when we take the trade that we're getting in there at the same time the institutions are in there. All right, so that's the compass system. Now, the dominator system, the market internals, it's looking at the market internals across 5 different indexes. So it's looking across the Dow, the New York Stock Exchange, the triple Qs, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the SPY, and the Russell 2000. So it's looking at the market internals individually for each one of these particular indexes. And then it's going to analyze the number of stocks moving up on up volume and upticks versus number of stocks moving down on down volume and downticks. Now it does that individually for each one of these indexes, and then it looks at the overall market, all of them together, to make a determination of whether there's enough disparity in the stocks moving up versus moving down to generate a buy signal. So when there's a large disparity, and I'm just as an example, 500 stocks moving up versus 100 moving down, then the software is going to create a buy signal, and if it's the opposite, it would create a sell signal. And I use it in conjunction with the compass system to identify even higher probability trade setups. Like I said, if the compass system is telling us that the institutions are driving a trade, I look at this and I know that the institutions are driving the trade and the market internals are also in my favor, that gives me even higher probability of the trade working for us. So we're going to look at some charts of showing some examples of these high probability trade setups. And the first one I'm going to spend a little time on because this is the Compass system. The Compass system runs on Thinkorswim. It also runs on Ninja 8. I use it on Thinkorswim, but this is the Compass system right here. Now, the four things we talked about is this right here is the main two that I look at, which are key, is this one. This is the current time frame momentum. Now I'm looking at a 5-minute chart. So this is the current time frame momentum for 5 minutes. So this shows me what the momentum is in that stock for the 5-minute time period. This is the multi-time frame trend. This tells me what the momentum is for the 3 different time frames. And if I'm looking at 5, this is looking at the momentum across the 5, the 15, and the 45-minute times. It's looking at those 3 different time frames. This is the quant line. This quant line is telling me this is ENPH. How many other stocks that normally trade with ENPH 70% of the time or more are also trading in the same direction? So these 3 tell me pretty definitively here that ENPH was being sold off by institutions. And I'll show you some exact entry points. And this is called the bias line. This is the one that changes slowest. I don't use it an awful lot, but these key 3 are key, and especially these 2. Now, in this ENPH trade that we took this week, I think we took it on Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's take a look at what we see here. Now, here's your indicators, and up here is the price action, obviously. Now, we got a few things here that are important. This purple line is called the volume weighted average price, the VWAP. Institutions use VWAP a lot. They use this as an entry point or a stop point. So we want to be trading stocks short only if they're under the VWAP on the 5-minute chart, which ENPH was. Now, this little blue arrow is what's called the pop out of the box symbol. And this tells you that the stock is breaking momentum. It had momentum here. It's breaking compression. It's moving across the other compression. We're breaking to the upside. We're breaking to the downside. You wouldn't be touching it long here, you see, because you're below the VWAP. So now when we get the pop out of the box signal to the downside right here, what we look for is, if this is a good signal to get in, we look down here and we make sure that we're either yellow or red, because red and yellow are short indicators and blue and green are long indicators. So when this gives me a pop out of the box signal to the downside, and I've got this just turned yellow after being blue, I know that the momentum is turning to the down on the current 5 minutes, and I know that it's already down, trending down on the multi-time frame. So this is a really good entry for this ENPH, which is actually where we took it. We took it right off of here because we had all the indicators working for us. A few other things we have here on this chart is this little thin red line. That's the 15 EMA of an EMA. It's a smooth EMA of the 15 time frame, and it's smoothed out because it's a moving average of a moving average, which you don't get as much herky-jerky motion in it. And we obviously, when you're going short, you want it to be red, which it was. It was red. And these little dots here, the little red dots, that's what's called the trend line. It kind of indicates when the stock is bearish in this particular case. And you see how it kind of went to yellow here, which means that we're going to neutral from a downtrend. You can see the trend is reversed. So that's a key thing that we look at. And we have one of the dots in here, these big red dots, the bigger red dots. These are called acceleration dots that the Compass system produces. And these tell us when the market internals, the current time frame market internals, are pegged in this particular case, pegged at 0. We're measuring as much negative momentum as you can possibly measure with this momentum indicator. So that's really important as well. So anyway, this was a really nice entry. You can see we had a yellow here, red here, so everything was bearish. We had a pop out of the box signal. So we're trying to buy at resistance. This was at resistance. We bought here and we rode this thing down. And you can see that as we start to flatten out, you can see how this starts to go yellow. We started taking profits here. We took profits right before it switched back to blue again. So we took profits along this compression area right here. That was a very nice trade, that ENPH trade. I think we made about, I don't know, $1.30 or $1.50 a contract on that short. And this was an intraday trade. So that's the compass system. This is just one of the charts I wanted to show you, but I wanted to use it to go over the indicators that you would see on the chart. And if you happen to want to buy the compass system, it'll show up on your chart exactly the way mine does here. It's going to look exactly like mine. All that information is imported for you, and you would have a duplicate setup of what I've got right here. All right, so this was one we took recently. This is Disney. We took this short, and one of the things to notice is, you see when all these lines are red down here, and you're below the VWAP, and the trend is red. Even a fairly new trader can identify a short setup really quickly here. I mean, it's pretty obviously when you look at the compass system that this Disney is bearish. The institutions are selling the crap out of this thing. So we're just trying to find a good entry. Now here's compression, and here's a breakdown of compression right here. So this is right below the VWAP. We're not very far extended from it. So you could get in right here for a short. And then as it compresses, you could either get out, or if you miss this one, you could get in right here as it breaks down again. This is a little further away from the VWAP, but it is below the 15. So this is what we took, and we actually get in here, we rode it, and we get out right back down here. And notice everything stayed red though the entire time we were in that trade. This came from about 10 o'clock and ended about 11:30, about an hour and a half. And then of course we're not going to hang in here when we get this big green bar, and we're not going to stay in here when the compass system goes to blue here. Blue is telling us that the momentum from the institutions in the 5-minute chart is not selling anymore. It's going to more buying, but the multi-time frame stayed red. So obviously there would be you would not be thinking about buying that. Here's Verizon, same day actually, I think. And again, you see how this is market open. You see how it's compressing here, compressing here, compressing here. Everything's red. The institutions are selling Verizon, but we want to try to find a good entry into Verizon. We don't want to just ride it. And here is the pop out of the box symbol as it breaks below the VWAP. It's very similar to Disney. And you get in right here, and we rode this right down. And I get out. I was still in it down here. I didn't put the whole chart up there. But this was a nice trade. Now Verizon doesn't move an awful lot, but you know the options went from about 35 cents to about 60 cents. That's a pretty big percentage gain on something like Verizon. And the institutions are basically screaming here that we're selling. I mean, again, you look at this and you can see that they're selling. And the market was in a downtrend that day as well. UPST, this was one that we went long. And I just want you to see some of the combinations. Again, you notice that UPST is above the VWAP, so it's a potential long. We've got blue and green across the board here. So we know the institutions are buying. So what are we going to try to do? We're going to try to find a level where we can get in this somewhere close to like this 15 EMA right here. We're pretty far from the VWAP. So anywhere along here is a good buy on this. We didn't get any pop out of the box signals until here. But even in here, you still had a nice setup as everything went green, and we were pretty close. You see that tail on that one right down to the 15 EMA, and then it bounced up. Notice that the trend dots went green right here when that popped up, they went green. So that's a nice entry. Now the yellow here, but everything else is still green. So you could take your profits here, or in our particular case, I stayed in the trade because I had no reason to get out. And then we got another pop out of the box signal, and then I get out as it moved up here. It's kind of getting a little extended from the VWAP. So that's how we treated UPST. And this is UPST again. Yeah, this is pretty much the same trade. What I did want to point out here was, you notice that we had some differing colors here on this particular trade. See, we got the yellow. We don't want to be in this trade, entering a trade here when it's yellow and green. Sometimes you can stay in it when it turns yellow, but you don't want to enter when it's yellow and green. These are contradictory. This is bullish on the multi-time frame, bearish on the current time frame. Now here, it went from yellow to blue. So now the institutions are starting to buy again on the 5-minute. We see they're already buying in the multi-time frame. So anywhere in here is a good place to enter. And right here off of this 15 EMA was the perfect entry as it turned blue, and up it goes. And this is actually a pretty nice little indicator for anybody who's trying to use the compass system for doing, scalping. You can use the 5-minute when it goes from a red or a yellow to a blue or a green. that tells you that the institutions went from selling to buying, and that's a good entry point to go long. So that's UPST, again, with the same indicators. Meta, another decent one. Now this is a daily chart. Again, you can use this on the daily. And what I was looking for here was a bullish entry on Meta. So here's Meta compressing, but notice it's green every day. This is Meta was bullish. Institutions were buying Meta through here, and they were buying it, but it wasn't really going anywhere. Now we get this big pop here. Now this shaded area right here that you see, that's called a dynamic compression zone that the compass system produces. And when you get a dynamic compression zone like this, if you get a break above or below, it becomes a decent entry point. So this broke out right here on the daily chart. So now I want to show it to you on the 5-minute chart. Well, not. I guess I'm not. I guess we just took this overnight. Yeah, when this popped up here, we took it overnight, and we actually get out the next day. See how I put in this doji candle? We were here long and held it overnight, and it popped up here, and we get out right here on this gap up in the morning and made a nice profit on it. But I just wanted you to see how the charts also reflect the institutional buying and selling across the day. Now, when you're looking at a daily chart, this is now 1 day. This is showing you what the institutions are doing on a 1-day chart. This shows you what they're doing on a 1, a 3, and a 9-day chart. That's the multi-time frame, or what we call the triple screen right there. And the quants obviously were all green. So those stocks that trade with Meta were all green as well. All right, so this is a SPY trade. This was a SPY super system setup. I think I got it. Yeah, this was a SPY super system that we talk about. Now the SPY super system means we've got a bearish setup on the compass in this case, and a bearish setup on the dominator. They both aligned. So what we've got here is again, we should be short. We're below the VWAP. Here is the 15 EMA right here, and here's a breakdown right here. Notice everything is red or yellow. You buy it here, and you just write it down, just like this, and you take your profits right down here when it's getting ready to reverse again. See, it went to blue, but that's a nice little trade. Now, this was the compass system, all right? Look at the compass system. This is the same time on the dominator system. Oops, here's what the dominator system looks like. This is the dominator system on the Ninja 8 platform. All right, so a couple of things of note here. These are all of the indexes that it's looking at, and mostly they're all red here. The background color tells you what the multi-time frame trend in that particular stock is right now. So multi-time frame trend on the SPY was pink. Pink is bearish, and green is bullish. So we had a multi-time frame trend down on the dominator system. We had sell signals in the dominator system. All these little red arrows are sell signals. So when we took the trade here, compass system was red or yellow, so telling us bearish. The dominator system was red, bearish. You can jump in this trade anywhere along here, and you just take it down, which is what we did. So both of the compass system and the dominator system lined up. That's what we call a SPY super system trade, and you have to wait for those. But when they set up, they're extremely effective. A Netflix, a nice short here. These are some examples we took. We get in right here on this arrow. This is a 5-minute chart. Why do we get in right here? We'll take a look down here. We had yellow and blue. We had changing colors. Right here we went to yellow, so bearish. At the same time, we broke down from the VWAP here with a pop out of the box signal, right? And everything else was red. So this is a bearish setup. So this is Netflix. So we took a short here. And again, another pop out of the box signal, but we just wrote it down because everything stayed yellow or red all the way. We took it down, we took it down, we took it down. We stayed in it, it all stayed red, and we get out here as this, you see the trend dots turned yellow, and we're starting to lose a little bit of the momentum to the downside. Everything else was still red, but we did take a 20% profit in the Netflix trade right there. Okay, this was a trade off of the dominator, specifically off the dominator. I have some folks who have the dominator system and just trade off of that. They traded the SPY off of that. You notice that the background is dark pink. That's bearish, very bearish. You notice that we're getting sell signals, very bearish. And we actually get in right here as all of the indicators here went to red. Get in right here and wrote this thing down. Everything stayed red, and we wrote it down here. And we got 3 points on that, $250 a contract on that. on that quick trade right there. That's a pretty quick SPY trade right there. But that's the dominator system. The black background means that you don't have any time, you don't have any trend. So you're getting black and then slightly green and black, slightly green. Now you go to dark pink. That goes from neutral to bearish right there. Tesla, another one that we had. Again, this was another 30% profit in this. And you see here again, the current time frame on Tesla on this 5-minute was going red, blue, and then it went to yellow right here on this pop out of the box. The multi-time frame was already yellow, which is bearish. So this was a nice entry point for this. It was coming right off the 15 EMA. You see how the trend dots went from yellow to red. So you jump in right here, and you basically, we just wrote it down. It stayed red all the way across, red or yellow all the way across here, and we get out at the very end of the day. This is 4 o'clock at the end of the day, end of the session. That was a 30% profit in that Tesla puts. And again, this was Tesla that we took overnight. Right here, it lined up right at the end of the day, at 3:45, it lined up with a pop out of the box signal and all red or yellow across the board here. So we had all red or yellow. So we took this overnight as a short. And again, it's riskier to take it overnight, but we did. And it gapped down the next morning and went from $120 to $112. The puts, of course, exploded, and we just rode this thing down right along this, stayed below the VWAP. We stayed in it until right here. We could have got out right here on this blue candle, but it really didn't. We got a blue candle, but we didn't really see any price action going against it, so we stayed in and get out right there. Again, nice overnight trade. It was about a $7 contract profit. Z, again, this was not a big winning trade, but I just want you to see. Here's the pop out of the box signal. Here's everything's red, so we stay short. And even though it's just kind of compressing, you don't really have to panic because the institutions are still selling this. So you can stay in the trade, stay in the trade. We get out of the trade here. I think I got out of it due to boredom. It just wasn't going anywhere. So we took a little bit of a profit on it, but you can see that the compass system was telling you that the institutions are selling this particular stock. And here's Oxy. This was a daily chart on Oxy. This was a big gap coming out of dynamic compression. See the shaded area here. See, we got green or blue across the board. The institutions are buying, but boom, this is where we get the big move right here on Occidental. And this was the day trade we took. This was what we saw on the daily chart. This was the 5-minute chart. So this is what we're looking for. Is we know it's bullish. We're looking for an entry. So we have a couple of color changes here. Finally, here we go. We're blue or green. So we got bullish price action. Institutions are buying. We got a pop out of the box signal. We can buy right there as it gets above the 15 EMA right there, which it did. And we took this and we took it all the way up and took it out right here. A Tesla. This one I wanted to show. This uses, I use Heikin-Achi candles in some of the analysis that I do. So this is a chart that we use Heikin-Achi candles for. And Heikin-Achi candles, each candle is made up of 2. If you become part member of the service, there's videos on Heikin-Achi candles and how you identify them and how you use them. But what you're looking for is you're looking for a candle that has a wick and or a tail and it goes to a flat bottom. That's a bullish reversal. And they're very handy because I got a pop out of the box signal at the same time I got a Heikin-Achi reversal candle here with a flat bottom. So I was able to get it in right here, get in the trade right here and then take it up. And as long as the bottom stay flat, you've got a bullish trend and stay bullish, and this is where you can take your profits, get a nice profit in there. That was a really nice trade. Notice the compass system is telling you that the institutions are buying the heck out of this thing. No question about it. SPY, just another 5-minute chart on the SPY, just to see the same thing. Again, I'm repeating the same type of things. I want you to be familiar with what the structure is that I'm looking for and how we find these trades. You know, if you're just getting the alert service, maybe you don't care about where the trades are coming from, but a lot of people do want to know where they're coming from and how we're getting them. And a lot of traders also want to be able to do this themselves. They want to use the compass system and the dominator system to trade themselves using this same criteria. So again, here's a pop out of the box signal on the SPY. It breaks below the VWAP, see right there? We went from blue to yellow on the same candle. Institutions are now confirming selling. We already had selling on the multi-time frame momentum here. So if we just take it down, and once it starts to flatten like this, you take your profits. And no reason to stay in the trade here once you've made that much money. SPY trades, 4 or 5 candles is quite a lot usually. This was a meta trade. This was a meta overnight trade. Pop out of the box, I mean a dynamic compression zone. See the shaded area? The breakdown below the dynamic compression zone. Get in right here, and you could have wrote it down. I think we just actually took it one day, but you could have stayed in it because you notice on this candle, it went from blue to yellow. Institution selling, multi-time frame, quant selling. This is a selling going on. So you get in there and take it and hold it overnight or a couple of days. Short-term swing. Same thing on crowd, pop out of the box. I mean, a dynamic compression zone, breaking out of the dynamic compression zone, went from green to yellow. Institutions selling, institutions were selling across the multi-time frame. You just ride this thing down. Oops, my sound went off. I'm sorry about that. I hope I wasn't, not sure how long I was. I think I hit the keyboard that did that. I'm sorry. So this was QSR. Let's say this is QSR on the daily. So we've got a nice bullish setup right here. You can see the green and blue colors on QSR coming out of a dynamic compression zone on the daily chart. All right, so we know we want to trade this, but let's see what we want to trade it on a 5-minute basis. So right here, we buy it on a 5-minute basis. We're looking for, we had pop out of the box signals to the downside, but we're not interested in that. We want to go long this. So we're looking for the compass system to tell us that the market internals are bullish on the 5-minute and on the multi-time frame. So we go red, we go blue, we go yellow, now we go green. We go green right here, and we get a pop out of the box signal right here as it comes across this 15 EMA. Out of compression, this is where we went long, right here in QSR. And again, it confirmed that and just kept going up, and then we get out right up here at the top. As you can see, we're going red here after this. And we went to a yellow current time frame. We want to be out of the trade when that happens. So that was a nice trade. Now at the same time, when QSR, now this QSR right there, this is QSR on the dominator on a 5-minute chart. You notice that we've got a dark green background. Dominator is telling us that the multi-time frame trend in QSR is bullish. So where do we want to get in? Well, there's a couple of places we could get in. We actually get in right here off the compass system, right back here where it compressed. The dominator doesn't have any buy signals yet, but it also doesn't have any sell signals. So we took this with a dominator setup that was multi-time frame background green. So we took a long here out of this compression, but we didn't have a buy signal. But we got confirmation as we moved up that we got a buy signal. Now, if you were a very, very conservative trader, you could wait for the buy signal. That way, you know you've got the compass system and the market internals in your favor. But we bought it here and we wrote it up right here, and just we stayed in this trade. And you can see you get buy signals across the board here. So that was using the compass system on daily and 5-minute with the dominator on the 5-minute chart. All right, and here's a SPY trade. Just got a few more of these, and then we'll talk about the system. Again, this was you went from dark background, which is a multi-time, say no trend, to a pink background, multi-time frame bearish trend. And here we got some sell signals on the dominator, right here and here. And as it breaks down below this red line here, this is the 15 EMA. This was a perfect entry place right here to take a SPY trade to the downside. And I don't stay in these things a long time. 3 big red candles in the SPY and then a green candle, I'm out on a trade like that. But again, it was still bearish. It was still bearish. But I'm out of here by then. And again, this was another dominator trade here. Now the background went from black, which was no trend, to light green, which was bullish, to dark green, which is very bullish. And you can see anywhere in here you could enter this trade off of the dominator system. So I just want to see I want you to see what the dominator system looks like. You can see the market internals here are all green across the board. And then another one on Netflix, basically the same thing. Look at the background, look at your buy signals. If you've got the compass system up, you look at Netflix on the compass system to see if the institutions are in. If they are, you can buy anywhere along here. I mean, there's buy signals across the board. The ideal place is as it pulls back a little bit and then confirms to the upside, you get in right there and write it up. And same thing on the SPY to the downside. Again, you got the background is changing from neutral to slightly bearish to very bearish. So you know, if you're an aggressive trader, you could get in right here as the background changed. Or if you're more conservative, you wait until you get a compression with a dark pink background. You buy in right here, and then you just ride this thing down. But that's what you're looking for. I hope this is you can kind of see how obvious it is with both the compass and the dominator system. And here's the SPY, another compass system. Again, see how we get all green? Obviously, the institutions are buying the SPY here, and this was a late in the day trade coming right off the 15 right here with a pop out of the box signal. Everything green. You can just write it up, and everything stays green right to the end of the day. And this was the close of the day. We're out, but you can see the green. So it's easy for you to identify when the institutions are in these trades, which is really, again, this is what gives us the edge. We know when the institutions are in the trade and when they're not. And again, another one on the SPY. Again, same thing. Dark green background, very bullish, bouncing off the 15 EMA. Just take it up, and you can just write it up. And again, this was the end of the day. This was the same one we just looked at. Right, there it is here on the compass. Here it is here on the dominator, showing you exactly the same thing. And this were aligned. This was actually a super system trade right there. All right, so again, let's just go over the strategies we use in the options room in the alert service, where these are going to be coming from. Straight calls and puts. Debit spreads using weekly option expiration. Time spreads we use over earnings, calendar spreads, to capture the volatility crush. Weekly ATM, which is a strategy we use in neutral to bullish markets to collect premium week after week by selling puts and keeping a longer dated long put to offset that to protect us. And we also use the SPY super system for very high probability trades, which we covered a couple of those. All right, so let's just talk about what the offer is on these. And now you've seen the two systems, the compass system, the dominator system. And I've shown you how I find the trades in the alert service. And I really try to, a lot of people have alert services. They don't necessarily go into any detail or be transparent about how they're finding the trades. But I'm showing you exactly how I'm finding these trades. And when you get them, if you go to look at a chart, if you have a compass system chart, you're going to be able to see why we took the trade. One of the things I do is when I take a trade, the daily chart and the 5-minute chart have to agree. They have to have the same bias. So if I'm going long on a 5-minute stock, a 5-minute trade, the daily chart also has to be bullish. If I'm going bearish, the daily chart also has to be bearish. Those two charts need to align for me to take a trade. I'm not going to do, I'm not doing counter trend trading. I'm only trading when both the 5-minute and the daily chart align in my direction. So what we have for the alert service, this is what we call the summer special. It's $9.97 a year, and you've seen what the results have been, or $2.97 a quarter if you just want to try it out for a quarter. Again, all the trades are going to come by SMS alert to your phone. You will give a bonus to the first 10 traders that sign up. You're going to get my live trading room for a month, 1 month in the live trading room. You're going to get the masterclass series, which is all of the, there's about 25 videos I've done on all the strategies we use, the compass system, how to use the compass system indicators, how to find the highest probability trade setups using the compass system, as well as with the dominator system. And again, all the strategies we have videos on, which is, you know, time spreads, weekly ATMs, debit spreads, credit spreads, all of that. You get to learn the secret ingredients to my winning trades. And all of that is defined. I have a video called the Top Gun system. And the Top Gun system is a method I look at to find the trades using the compass and dominator. And then we add very good technical analysis, specific technical analysis to find the very best of those trades. And I have a video that goes over all of that. All right, so that's the alert service. $9.97 a year, $2.97 a quarter. Really good deal. And on the compass system, if you want to buy the compass system, it's $9.97 annually. If you do that, if you buy the compass system, you're also going to get the market scanner. We have a market scanner. You're going to get that for the year. You're also going to get access to my trading room for 1 month. The trading room does have a subscription after the first month, but the live trading room for 1 month. And you'll get the masterclass series that we just talked about, all the training videos. And if you want both the compass and the dominator system, which is what, you know, a lot of folks do. I mean, I have the compass and the dominator. If you're looking for confirmations of highest probability trade setups using institutions and market internals, $14.97 annually for both of these things, which is really good. And again, first 10, you get the market scanner for a year, access to my trading room for 1 month, and the masterclass series. You get all of that for $14.97 for those two. So again, $9.97 for the compass and $9.97 a year for just the alerts, and $2.97 a quarter for the alerts. So that's all of them. I'm going to check some questions. One thing I'll point out that if you're interested, you have to go. You haven't got time to do something right now. Just go ahead and put your username, your Skype name, or your name and phone number in the chat box or in the question box, and one of the folks, probably Rory, will pick that up. So if you have any questions, you can also call 736-732-4656. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and see what we've got for questions, and I'll try to answer those as best I can. All right, let me pull this back up to the beginning. Looks like we have quite a few questions. All right. How long am I in a trade typically, James? You know, it depends. It depends on a couple of things. Obviously, when I get into a trade, I have some expectations, but if I can make a decent profit in a day, I'm going to take it in a day. The overnight trades, I'm looking at the daily chart. So I'm focused on the daily chart, and I'm also focused on the market. What the market's doing is very, very critical of how long I stay in a trade. If I'm short a stock, for example, and the market is bearish and stays bearish trending, then I'm going to stay in the market. I'm going to stay in that longer. If the market starts to chop around or starts to turn against me, and if I've got some profits, I'm probably going to take the profits right then. All right. Daniel, I only know how to buy puts and calls. Some of these option plays are over my head. Well, I just wanted to lay out what we're doing. If you sign up for the service or buy the software, you'll get videos on each one of those. They're really not very complicated. What we call time spreads is really just selling this week's call and buying next week's call. That's it. It's a spread. Debit spreads are just buying this week's call, for example, and selling a higher strike call. That's all it is. Just a simple spread. And I have videos on all those. You can learn exactly how to do that. It's not I try to keep these strategies really, really simple so that it's easy for people who are new to trading to be able to use these. Now, frankly, most of us trades are going to be straight puts and calls, but not all of them. Does the pop out of the box arrow show up before, during, or after the bar? It's above or below. The pop out of the box signal, Dan, is what you want to do is you don't want to take a trade off a pop out of the box signal until that candle closes. It'll be produced during the candle's creation, but it's only really going to be effective after the candle closes, because obviously you've seen 5-minute candles. They can go up and produce a breakout of compression and then pull back into the compression again. So that pop out of the box signal is meant to be used right after the candle closes. So that would be where you would want to take it. That's true in most indicators. Indicators will occur, same thing in the dominator. You'll get a buy arrow or a sell arrow that will be produced as the candle's created. But if the candle reverses, it'll go away. So you want to wait until that candle closes. How often do I see dominator or super system trades? Well, the super system trade requires a dominator. So, you know, in choppy markets, it's especially this month, August has been very, very few. It's probably only been a few, 3 or 4 or 5 super system trades. You know, they may appear for 5 or 10 minutes and then disappear. But I don't say in trending markets, you're going to get a lot more, or trending days. When I say trending market, I mean a bullish day. You're going to get more of them. But again, you got to remember, to get in, you want the stock to be at a support level if you're going to go long, or at a resistance level if you're going to go short. So it requires the dominator and the compass system to both be lined up, and then you also need a price action that's near some support or resistance level that you can get in at a good price. So there's not an awful lot of them. I mean, and I don't see them all because I'm looking at other stocks all day long. But I know people who have the 2 systems, who have the compass and dominator system, and they'll just go ahead and wait for those to occur. They're not looking across. I mean, I'm looking across scanners, and I'm looking across lots and lots of trades and answering a lot of questions. But I'm sure each day there is at least a couple of those trades. But right now the market's been very choppy, so not a huge number. Yeah, you lost sound. I know. I'm sorry about that. Let's see how long that was for. Okay, yeah, off for a minute. I think I tapped the keyboard by mistake or something. Sorry for that. All right. Let's see. Can I show a complete example of a trade, including the specific trade alert you sent out and the closing trade alert? I really like to see one complete example to get more concrete idea what to expect. Yeah, I can do that. Let me see if I can find one to show you. Hold on a second. I'm gonna kind of go back to. You have to bear with me a minute here. Let's see if I can find something. Let me just slide this over to the other screen. All right, if you're looking at the screen, these are like 3 trades we've just recently had. So when the alert goes out to you, it's going to say, it's going to have a date, 8/22. Here's the stock, AAP. It was a time spread, and I said to sell the August 25th 67 calls and buy the September 1st 67 calls for 20 cents. So the original trade, that's all you would have seen. Okay, this part right here you wouldn't see until after I sent out the sell. Now, once I have a sell order to get, you're going to get the alert's going to look like this again, except it's going to say sell for. Now we sold it, we took profits on it though. It's going to say sell for, like in this case, we get in 0.20, sell for 0.30, good till canceled. And then when it's closed, I send out another one that says sold with the price and the profit or the loss. That's what they look like. Ken, I just bought into the system with David Kushner. Cool. Well, David Kushner uses the Ninja program. Uses different strategies. I'm using 5-minute candles. Listen. What I try to do in my room is I try to take high probability trades and what would be considered low stress type trades. Trades that we're not going to be trying to scalp in and out of really quickly. So I'm not using Ninja except for the dominator. So it's a little bit different. It just depends on what you're like to trade. I mean, he trades futures. I trade mostly stocks. He uses the dominator system, and he uses the compass system. We'll call the money flow tracker over on Ninja. But that's the difference. And again, he does extremely good job of getting folks who want to be prop traders to get them qualified. He's a prop trader himself. He trades with 6 accounts, I think. But again, I know that it just depends on what you're interested in. You know, my alerts here are for people who don't want to be sitting in front of the screen all the time. They're all for folks that aren't necessarily trading quickly and trading futures. So listen, everybody's different. We've got multiple rooms that you can trade. We also have another futures room with Craig that trades specific futures, and David Kushner trades other futures. Everybody has different things that they like to trade. I like to trade high probability trades that use 5-minute candlesticks, not 30-second candlesticks or 10 tick candlesticks. And I like to do it in a room where the stress level is going to be fairly low. Listen, we all take losses, but I'm trying to create an environment where we're disciplined, where we're patient, and we can be fairly calm. Ken, thanks for your number. Appreciate it, Ken. Rory will talk to you. Dominator system does not work on Thinkorswim, Steve. Dominator system only works on Ninja because it has to get a feed from Kinetic and or one of the other feeds that feeds in market internals, and only Ninja allows them to do that. The market internals coming from those things cannot go into Thinkorswim or Fidelity or any of the other ones. Do you use either of these to trade futures? I actually do trade futures, and I do use I've used the Compass system to trade futures and the Dominator system to trade futures. But usually, because I'm trading during the room all day, I only trade futures after hours when the room is closed and I can trade. I don't want to add futures to the room. We've got 2 rooms that trade futures. You've got David Kushner's room and Craig Emery's room, and they both trade futures. Robin, you mentioned, I mentioned the pattern day trading rule. You're under the impression it doesn't apply to options. No, it does apply to options. Now it doesn't apply to futures, but it applies to options for sure. The pattern day trader, stock or options, if you're trading regular stocks or regular options, it applies unless you have a cash account. If you have a cash account, you're not constrained by the PDT, the pattern day trader rules. But there is a couple of disadvantages to most cash accounts. It's very difficult. The brokers most of the time won't let you do spreads. And if you buy a trade like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and close it out at 3, the money doesn't go into your account right then. You've got to wait a day or 2 for that trade to clear and for the money to come back into your account. So there's a couple of drawbacks to cash accounts. So we enter 2 trades on our platform. Well, actually, Daniel, when you're doing a spread, all the platforms let you do it as 1 trade. In other words, if I'm doing for example, if I'm doing a call debit spread, and I want to buy the $100 call and sell the $105 call, I put 1 order in to buy the 100 and sell the 105, and all the platforms will let you do that as 1 trade. And that's how I suggest you do it. Always just do it as 1 trade. So any kind of spreads that you can do, you can just put in both legs and execute it, and it'll execute as 1 trade. Which platform? I'm not sure what that means. The 2 platforms I've shown were Thinkorswim, which is the Compass system runs on Thinkorswim, and Ninja 8, which is where the Dominator system runs on Ninja 8. Do we need additional requirements for me at Fidelity to put on these trades? Well, if you're allowed to trade options right now, you can do the buy puts and buy calls. But you need to check with Fidelity to see if you're approved to do spreads. You have to ask them and make sure you get put in. Each platform is different as far as what they call it, level 2, level 3. But if you call them and tell them you want to be able to trade spreads, they'll tell you if you can, and if you want to they'll go ahead and create and set your account so that you can do that. And you can, I mean, you can do spreads inside of IRAs and things like that. Roths, and I trade a lot of stuff in Roths. What else do we need to pay like platforms? Well, if you're going to use it, for example, if you're going to use a dominator system, you would need to use what's called a kinetic data feed, and they feed the market internals for you. And I forget what that costs. You'd have to check with them, but that you would need to get the dominator system internals. The Compass system, you don't need anything. The Compass system is on Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim will feed everything that you need into the platform for you. And the only other fee you would have is if you want to be a member of my room after the first month that you get for free. It's $149 a month to be in the room. Dan, you see no option to use PayPal. You want to give Rory a call. 786-732-4656 and talk to him. I'm not sure how they set that up as far as what different options you've got as far as paying is concerned. But he'll take care of you. Again, 786-732-4656. If you can't get to him, just put your name and number right here in the question box or in the chat box, and he'll follow up with you. Do I suggest this for a newbie trader? I really do. And listen, the reason I suggest this for a newbie trader is let me just go back to the charts here for a minute. All right. If I'm looking at a chart, let's give me a Compass chart. If I'm looking at a chart and I'm looking at price action like this, all right. If I'm just looking at price action alone with none of this other information on here, then for a new trader, how in the world are they going to know whether the institutions are in there, whether it's bullish or not? When the Compass system, this is why I like this so much for new traders, because it helps you know which direction this stock is going, if the institutions are in there or not. You've got such a huge edge over other newbie traders who are just looking at price actions and some other random indicators they put on their platforms, RSI, MACDs, Fibonacci's, all this kind of stuff that doesn't tell you anything. If you're looking for institutions, and the thing that I use is I'm looking for the Compass system, and I look for relative strength and relative weakness. If I've got a stock that's got the Compass system telling me that the institutions are in there buying, and the stock has got relative strength against the SPY, in other words, it's moving faster up than the SPY is or faster down than the SPY is, with relative strength and relative weakness, and the Compass system telling me that the institutions are in there, I can be almost guaranteed that the institutions are in there at that point in time. And that's why I like the Compass system. I mean, it makes it so easy for new traders to see things that are key. These are key levels. You know, they don't have a lot of other crap on here. I mean, there's really just a few minor. The VWAP is important. The 15 is important. These we use more to determine whether we as support and resistance levels. So we're looking for levels to get in at or get out at. Okay, let's see. How much capital needed? Well, excuse me. You know, if you're going to be pattern day trader, you're only going to take certain trades, ones that are overnight, time sprints, things like that. But I would not recommend trying to trade options without at least $5,000. I mean, people tell you can do it for 1,000 or 2,000. You know, it's just too much likelihood of losing that stake when you start. So you've got to have about 5,000. That's not going to allow you to do more than 3 day trades a week, but it will allow you to make some trades, and you can, like the time spreads trades we do. Generally, the cost of those are pretty inexpensive. You know, generally in the neighborhood of $20 to maybe $60 or $70 a contract. Yeah, Daniel, you think you need permission to sell options? Well, the sell options would be when you're doing a spread. You know, I'm not going to recommend anybody do what's called naked puts, which is when you sell an option to collect premium without having a spread made up. The only time you really do that, or I ever do that, is if I want to own that stock at that price. And you should never be selling naked calls. You should never be selling calls without having a spread on. It's just way too risky. But yeah, you have to check with them to see if you want to sell options. Just tell them, you don't necessarily tell them you have to want to sell options. tell them you want to do spreads. Because when you're doing a spread, you're buying a call and selling a call. It's a spread. You're not just selling any naked options. So make sure you specify you want to do spreads. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. Spreads need permission. I never saw where to enter a spread trade in Fidelity platform. Confused about executions. Well, Daniel, the executions I've never used Fidelity, but if you call them, they'll show you exactly how to do it, and they probably have a video on how to do it. It's not that complicated, but you just have to call them to make sure you're authorized to do it, which you should be. I mean, if you can do straight puts and calls, most of the time they'll let you do spreads. Yep, you can contact Fidelity. Daniel heading out right now, but would like to email Rory. Can you provide his email address? I'll be back later tomorrow night. Or you can just pop your number in there. But I don't know if I've got his email off the top of my head here. Let me see. Yeah, Rory's email is just as, I hope he doesn't mind me giving this out. Rory, P-O-D, R-O-R-Y-P-O-D at Gmail. R-O-R-Y-P-O-D at Gmail. All right, see if we get any more questions. Lots of questions today. Oh, okay, support at Right Line Trading. He just put that in. Yeah, that's probably the better one to send it to. I'm sorry if I gave that one out. Support at Right Line Trading. That will do it. Support at rightlinetrading.com. Daniel, you're welcome for the explanation on spreads. All right, yeah, so if you're going to send anything to Rory, send them at support at rightlinetrading.com. That'll get through to him. Dane, thanks very much for the Calkins for the getting on the service. I appreciate it. So listen, thanks everybody. I've kept everybody for about an hour, almost an hour and a half. So I didn't mean to go that long, but I certainly appreciate everybody being in the room. I appreciate you taking the time to let me share this software with you, the Compass system, the Dominator system. Again, $9.97 a year for the alerts, $2.97 a quarter. Compass, $9.97 annually. And Dominator and Compass, $14.97 annually. A couple of really beautiful pieces of software if you want to improve your trading. And the Compass System Alert Service, you just want to see what the trades we're taking are, and you want to join in those, that gives you that. Lou, not sure about some early question about a complete start to finish trade. Well, I showed you what I did as in the alerts themselves. I'm particularly wondering how you manage sending opening and closing alerts while managing the trades. Well, I send an opening when I'm going to take the trade. I send that out there, and then once I decide where I think our profit target should be, then I'll go ahead and send an alert with that profit target prior to it getting there. If we're going to close it out due to a loss, I'll go ahead and send that out as we exit the trade. Now, if I send an order out to sell, and I feel like maybe we can get some more for it, I'll go ahead and send in another one to tell you to adjust the price. But I mean, I'm not really managing the trade when they go out. I'm still in it, but I'm doing the same thing I'm doing in my platform. You know, I've got the sell order in there, the same thing, the same one that I'm telling you guys about. Gary, see you Monday. Thanks very much. Daniel, you'll be in contact. Great, happy to hear it. So listen, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up. I know I've taken up a lot of time for folks here. So again, I very much appreciate everybody being in the room. I hope you got to see the huge benefit that the alert service will do for you, and the Compass and Dominator systems, how impressive those are to identify these trades. Listen, it's been a tough market. This is a very, very difficult market to trade, especially in the summertime. Lots and lots of people taking lots and lots of losses. Everybody takes losses. We take losses as well, but we've got the highest probability trade setups, and over time, our win rate stays right up there between 85, 87% and about 92% weight. Again, we've had 19 months that the room has been open since January 2022. We have 18 winning months and 1 small losing month. So I intend to keep that going for the foreseeable future. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, come on board. See everybody in the room soon, hopefully. Have a great one, everybody.